How do you think they'll be coping as a family with all of this?
I think actually better than probably people realise. They're very strong, both as a couple and individually. I remember when I first met her as Kate, every now and then when she was being hounded by the press, she'd ring me up in the middle of the night saying, "Paddy, I don't want to bother you, but there's paparazzi outside or there's men in a car chasing me around London." She always had this sort of great strength, and she didn't want to make a fuss about it, but she felt she needed help. So I'm confident them as a couple and individually they'll get through this.
We heard there from Victoria that the decision to make a statement like this was made before the sort of frantic speculation on social media. Who do you, though, so I suppose, point at for creating this situation, creating all of that pressure? Do you think the mainstream media made it worse while social media was sort of doing its crazy thing?
Well, it feeds off itself. It's a sort of permanent doom loop, and it's the worst I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been in the media all of my career. So I just think it's partly that what frustrates me, and I've heard the word vacuum, and I understand why people say that. But what we need to think about this is time. They're a family. They're just really a bit like you and I. Lots of families have dealt with this. And what do families need when they're facing cancer is time. Time to come to terms with it individually, as a couple, and then with their children. And that took quite a bit of time. And so in that period, they needed to be quiet. They needed to be able to process this, as the princess has said. And then it was a question, when do we tell everyone else? And I'm absolutely convinced that if we hadn't had all the madness in social media, if we hadn't had the sort of the Mother's Day photo mistake, they would have still done it like this. They would have still waited till this last Friday when the schools were breaking up to make the announcement.